Today, I'm sharing something very close to my heart. This is my newest book, Through the Storm, a healing guide to living beyond PTSD, and it's the 6th book in my emotional series. But more than that, this book marks the beginning of a new chapter for my Highland Stories podcast, where I'll be reading from this and all my books with personal commentary you won't find anywhere else. If you or someone you love is navigating life with PTSD, this video is for you. I'm Gwen. I'm a practicing therapist here in Scotland, and I've just published my 6th mental health book. Writing about PTSD felt different from my other books, more urgent, more necessary. In my practice, I kept seeing people who were struggling with trauma responses, but didn't recognise them as such. They thought they were just having a hard time or being overly sensitive. There was this gap between what PTSD actually looks like in daily life and what people expected it to look like. This book bridges that gap. It's for anyone whose world has been shattered by trauma and who's trying to figure out how to live, not just survive, in the aftermath. The title Through the Storm came to me because that's exactly what trauma feels like, being caught in an emotional storm that you can't predict or control. But storms aren't endless, and even in their midst, we can find shelter. We can learn to breathe through the thunder, and we can remember that dawn always follows the darkest night. What makes this book different is that it expands the understanding of what trauma looks like. We're not just talking about soldiers returning from war, though their experiences are absolutely valid. We're talking about healthcare workers, accident survivors, people who've experienced abuse, anyone whose nervous system has been overwhelmed by experiences they couldn't process at the time. Writing this from Scotland, I'm also aware of our cultural narrative around resilience. While strength is admirable, it can sometimes make it harder to acknowledge when we need help. This book honours both, your strength and your need for support. The subtitle is crucial: Living Beyond PTSD. This isn't about just surviving your symptoms. It's about discovering that while trauma may change you, it doesn't have to diminish you. Post-traumatic growth is real, and healing is possible. Let me give you a sense of what you'll find inside Through the Storm. The book is built around what I call the 3 pillars of PTSD recovery: understanding, managing, and transforming. Understanding means learning what PTSD actually is, how it affects your brain and body, and recognising that your responses make perfect sense given what you've experienced. You're not broken, you're responding normally to abnormal circumstances. Managing focuses on practical tools for daily life: how to handle triggers, how to improve sleep, how to manage flashbacks, how to communicate with loved ones about what you're experiencing. And transforming is about finding meaning in your experience, discovering your own resilience, and creating a life that honours both your struggles and your strength. Throughout the book, you'll find exercises, insights, and tools drawn from my clinical practice, current trauma research, and most importantly, the wisdom of people who've walked this path and found their way to healing. Now, here's something exciting. I'm relaunching my Highland Stories podcast, specifically to read from this book, and eventually from all 6 books in my emotional series. There's something special about hearing an author read their own work. When I read these passages aloud, I can add the emotion, the emphasis, the personal stories behind the words that didn't make it onto the page. In the Highland Stories episodes, I'll be reading key sections from Through the Storm, but I'll also be sharing commentary, why I wrote certain chapters, what I learned from clients along the way, how these concepts apply specifically to our Scottish context. We'll start with the introduction to Through the Storm and work through the essential chapters. Then, over the coming months, we'll move through all 6 books in the emotional series, covering anxiety, fear, grief, panic, and seasonal depression, as well as PTSD. This creates an intimate experience, like having a conversation with me about these concepts rather than just reading them in isolation. So who is Through the Storm for? It's for you if you've experienced something that shattered your sense of safety and you're still feeling the effects. It's for you if you're tired of people telling you to just get over it or move on. It's for you if your trauma doesn't look like what you see in movies, if it was workplace stress, medical trauma, childhood experiences, accident aftermath, or any other overwhelming experience. It's also for you if someone you love is struggling with trauma and you want to understand how to support them better. And it's for you if you're ready to believe that healing is possible, that you can learn to live with PTSD rather than being controlled by it. Before we finish, I want to share some important messages. First, while this book contains professional insights and practical tools, it's not a substitute for professional therapy or medical treatment. If you're struggling with trauma symptoms, please reach out to qualified professionals. Second, healing isn't linear. There will be good days and difficult days. That's not failure, that's the nature of recovery from trauma. And finally, if you're listening to this because you're struggling, please know that seeking understanding and help isn't weakness, it's courage. Your pain is valid, your healing matters, and I. So here's how you can connect with this work. Through the Storm, a healing guide to living beyond PTSD, is available now on Kindle and in paperback. You'll find all the links in the description below. The Highland Stories podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe now so you don't miss the first episode, where I'll be reading the introduction to Through the Storm. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Are you someone who's navigating life with PTSD? Are you supporting someone who is? What would be most helpful to hear about in future videos or podcast episodes? If this content is valuable to you, please subscribe to this channel and to Highland Stories. Sharing this video with someone who might benefit from it would mean the world to me. Thank you for trusting me with your time today, and if you're trusting me with your pain or your healing journey, thank you for that courage as well. Remember, you are not broken, you are not alone, you are someone who has weathered storms, and within you lies the strength to not just survive, but to thrive. This is just the beginning of our journey through the storm together. I'll see you in the next video, and I'll hear you on Highland Stories.